Wherever two or more are gathered in my name, I pervade, I embrace. There am I, there am I. Lo, I am with you, lo, I am with you, even unto the end of the age. Lo, I am with you. I am with you when you gather in my name. When you gather in my
Well, good evening, everyone. This is Michael, and for a little while longer, I'm substituting for Tuya, who is out of town. And, you know, I think she'll be back to do the Soul of Nations meditation, which will be at 6 o'clock p.m. on Saturday. And today we are working with the Reappearance of the Christ meditation. Just a few suggestions. You know, every Thursday we do this, and we assume, the Tibetan says, an attitude of aspiration, devotion, prayer, and fixed intention in that order. And that we need the heart approach as well as the mental approach. So between the Thursdays, you know, a second ray day, a Jupiter day, a love wisdom day, we lay our plans and we try to carry out the plans during that week. The planned activity to somehow, and there are many ways, further the process of the reappearance of the Christ. First comes the hierarchy, of course, the externalization thereof, and then later the Christ. We need to prepare the hearts and minds of humanity for that great planetary event, which will signal that humanity has taken the first initiation. That is, when it occurs, humanity has taken the first initiation, at least a sufficient number of human beings to raise the whole. Now, I'd like to do a little bit of reading from the book, The Reappearance of the Christ. Usually Tuya also reads in Finnish, but that's not possible for me, so I'll simply go on with what I have. It's a book, I think, that should be somehow reread every year. It's a small book, and it's certainly possible, and it reinforces for us the nature of the motives that should animate us. So here we are, the great moment for which he has so patiently waited has almost arrived. The end of the age to which he referred when speaking to his small group of disciples. Lo, I am with you all the days, even unto the end of the age. And of course, when he was speaking there, probably it meant the age of Pisces to a certain extent, but we know that he has taken on the double assignment of being the Bodhisattva for 5,000 years and not just for 2,500 years, which is the normal term of office. Today he stands and waits. It's the nigh unto the end of the Piscean age, and he will be with us for almost the entire Aquarian age. It's an amazing thought. Today he stands and waits, knowing that the hour has come when he will, quote, see of the travail of his soul and be satisfied. Right through the spiritual succession of the sons of God, there is naught to be seen and felt but expectancy and preparation. Okay, and this may still occur a century away from us, but the preparation has to be made now. The Tibetans' series of bridging treatises in its third installment has to be given, read, assimilated, applied, there's plenty of work to do. The hierarchy waits. It has done all that is possible from the angle of the present opportunity. The Christ stands in patient silence, attentive to the effort that will make his work materialize on earth and enable him to consummate the effort he made 2,000 years ago. There he was visible to the world for 3 years, and now for coming up for some 2,000 years. It's an amazing contrast. The Buddha hovers over the planet, ready to play his part if the opportunity is offered to him by mankind. Everything now depends upon the right action of the men and women of goodwill. And that's, who we are, and we have to play our part. From the Father's house, the center where the will of God is known, or Shambhala of the esotericists, the fiat has gone forth. The hour has come. From the kingdom of God where reigns the Christ, the answer has been flung back, Father, thy will be done. Down in our struggling, bewildered, unhappy world of men, the cry is ceaselessly rising, may Christ return to earth. For the three great spiritual centers, the Father's house, the kingdom of God, and awakened humanity, there is but one purpose, one idea, and one united expectancy. It is essential that today there should be a measure of fuller knowledge concerning the center where the will of God is known. The public should possess some understanding of this spiritual center, to which, if we believe the gospel story, Christ himself was always attentive. Frequently we read in the New Testament that, quote, the Father spoke to him. or that he, quote, heard a voice, unheard by others, or that the words were heard, "This is my beloved Son." Several times we read the seal of affirmation, as it is spiritually called, was given to him. At the baptism, we read of that particularly. Only the Father, the planetary Logos, the one in whom we live and move and have our being, the Lord of the world, the Ancient of Days, can speak this final affirmative word. There is still a word to be spoken. So there are, as we know, 5 crises or initiations which concern the Master Jesus: the birth at Bethlehem, the baptism, the transfiguration, the crucifixion, and, well, we call it the resurrection, but the true resurrection is the 7th initiation, so it's actually called by another name esoterically. It's called the Revelation. But lying behind this obvious and practical teaching lies an undercurrent of thought, or something much higher and of greater importance. The affirmative voice of the Father recognizing that which the Christ has done. When Christ completes the work during the next 2,000 years, which he inaugurated 2,000 years ago, that affirmative voice will surely again be heard, and divine recognition of his coming will be accorded. Then the Christ will take that stupendous initiation of which we know nothing, except that 2 divine aspects will blend. Okay, friends, it's amazing material. We are guided by stupendous beings working with the forces of light beyond our comprehension, of course, beyond our comprehension, but still we're working along that path, and gradually we will understand, the old saying, those who do the will of God shall know. And indeed, we know a little something about the will of God as the Tibetan has presented it to us. We have only to cooperate with sustained concentration, persistence over the years, in lives to come. It's not that the Christ will come and everything will be solved, because the old saying is true, by human hands and human feet. Thus shall the temple be raised up, the temple of the new age, of universal love, eventually. Okay. Now let's move forward a little bit as we breathe in the white light, seeing our co-disciples in the light, and seeing as if all at once our own triangle of triangles, the ones we are working with, and we visualize love and goodwill flowing through the little network with which we are involved, and of course the greater network which is beginning to cover the world as we advance the work of the triangles, so necessary in the eyes of the Tibetan, work that, as he said, must go on. This is very real work, it's daily work. It is occult work, esoteric work, and directly part of the divine plan. So let's take it as seriously as possible. And in our meditation now, we'll ask ourselves a few questions and answer them to ourselves. As a member of the new group of world servers, what is my specific fixed intention at this moment of dedicated contact with my soul? Is my concentrated and expressed personality purpose in line with hierarchical intention as far as I am permitted to know it? Have I, in my own personal daily life, earned the right, because of definite effort and not so much because of success, to stand with those servers who are now undertaking the work of preparation? And Master DK tells us this is the one time we do think of ourselves. It's a method of personality and focused attention, and aligns our personality with the mental plane. Now, having answered these three questions in the light of the soul, excuse me, then we say with emphasis this amazingly powerful mantra: forgetting the things which lie behind, I will strive towards my higher spiritual possibilities. I dedicate myself anew to the service of the coming one, and will do all I can to prepare men's minds and hearts for that event. I have no other life intention. Let us ponder for a moment upon that to which we have just committed. It's really the most important thing happening on our planet at this time. It's not as the faithful in a number of religions may visualize it. It's quite different, and the great Lord comes for all humanity, even though he may be recognized by those who are considered to be his own, which does not mean members of a particular religion. Now, visualize the world situation as best you can, and in terms of your major world interest, and with what knowledge of world affairs you may possess. See the mass of men everywhere glowing with a dim light. And here and there, points of brighter light where members of the new group of world servers and men of spiritual intention and of loving hearts are working for their fellow human beings. Then visualize through the creative imagination the vivid light of the hierarchy streaming towards humanity and slowly merging with the light which is already in humanity. And then we say the first stanza of the invocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. Then we ponder on the reappearance of the Christ. Realize that no matter by what name he may be called in the many world religions, he is still the same great spiritual identity. Reflect and speculate upon the possible results of his reappearance. We know that he will inevitably return. He is anxious to return to his loved humanity. When a measure of peace has been restored, what that measure is, we do not know, but it is evaluated by the hierarchy and the Christ. When the principle of sharing is at least in process of controlling economic affairs, and when the churches and political groups have begun to clean house, this you already see. The first two, they are not as far along. Then he will come. He can and will come. Then the kingdom of God will be publicly recognized and will no longer be a thing of dreams and of wishful thinking and orthodox hope. And then we say together the second stanza of the great invocation. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. Endeavor to concentrate your fixed intention to serve and to spread love in your surroundings. And realize that insofar as you can do these things, you are attempting to blend your personal will with the divine will. On our planet, the will of God is love, love wisdom, the second ray soul of our planet. And then we say stanza 3 of the great invocation. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. We consider practically what we can do in the coming week to further preparation for the coming of the Christ. It can occur along many lines, depending upon the ashramic affiliation. But of course, the spreading of goodwill and the development of the Triangle's work are two chosen methods, service activities offered by the Tibetan. So what are our plans? In the presence of the angel, we make definite plans. We make note of them. There are so many ways to serve and to prepare, but we do take seriously the fact that preparation for the externalization of the hierarchy and the reappearance of the Christ are our main motivations. And we approach these with our esoteric knowledge the best we can. Now, let us respond to the vibration of the Christ, and let us commit ourselves in His name. We have gathered in your name, Lord Maitreya. Be with us. And we know that the Spirit of the Christ pervades the entire planet, and that if we are with Him, He will be with us. Wherever two or more are gathered in His name, there He will be. He is the Spirit of relationship, the Spirit of right human relations. And we know that all this is really happening behind the scenes, and that we are a part of it. And we work forward into the centuries ahead to bring about these great changes, positive changes in the human race, and inevitably then on the planet. We sound the Om 3 times, dedicating the threefold personality to the work of preparation. I want to thank you all for being here, meditating with us and with each other. It's an important meditation, and as all of these meditations given exactly by the Tibetan, they are powerful when done together and in the right spirit and basically as a soul. That has been impressed upon me as I've been reading through the externalization of the hierarchy. Meditate as a soul, and that requires caution, alignment, and the ability to really center in the soul nature as much as may be possible. So tomorrow there will be the Dissipation of Glamour webinar at 6 p.m. GMT. It's a webinar, and I think you should have the link, and if for some reason you do not, just write to me, infinitize8@gmail.com, and I'll send it to you. But it is always the same, at least for that particular subject. So then, many blessings and lots of love from all of us, and we persist in meditating together and sending these meditations forth into the ethers to have their beneficent effect and gathering more people in for the kinds of meditations that have to be accomplished. We are grateful for your presence, and we will see you soon.